All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. How you doing on this Tux Tuesday? Today I am on my EndeavourOS Linux setup. If you have any questions about streaming on Linux, please be my guest. I am not an 100% expert. I have been streaming off of Linux for about 8 years. I've learned many things over the years, but there's a lot of things that I still don't know, but I keep trying, and I do a lot of things that maybe the normal or average Linux user, hard to put normal in there, sorry, uh, do. I have a lot of actions. I have a lot of things going on. I have a very decent desktop. So I could do a lot of things, but a lot of people are coming over to Linux and not sure where they're starting out. They expect they have different expectations, higher expectations of a Linux system because of things that they're hearing and things that they've been told, and that. And isn't it always the case with Linux? You have to make a lot of decisions of how you want to stream. I know majority of a good portion of streamers out there do it games. I'm not a gamer, so I really can't tell you how to use set up your system for gaming. I do like geoguessing, and but that's online, and my system picks it up. I have used a HDMI to USB capture card to capture a Wii U into OBS, but that can be kind of tricky. It sometimes is tricky even on Windows using this capture card. It was relatively inexpensive, so it's an iffy thing. So most of your HDMI to USBs may or may not work. Your computer may not be able to have, if you have a couple of cameras or a good camera and you got it on the same USB hub, the capture card might not work. So, and I do kind of use multiple computers, but not to stream. I used to use like 3 laptops along with my desktop. I know a lot of people are using that distro AV, which is a different version of NDI. It's NDI, but I use Teleport. It's simple enough. It works well. I used to hook up 3 laptops together with, each with OBS on it and do different things on it and have that flow to my desktop. But there's a lot of choices to make and a lot of things to look into when streaming on Linux. Your average stream, if you're doing, hey, you're using Zoom or you're even using Discord to capture several people in a video mode type stream about gaming, Linux, Windows, whatever you're doing. You can do that well enough, it's the fancier thing, it's then now, okay, you want to stream, you want to play games, and you want to record while you're streaming. And some people want to record in a higher value than what they probably can. Linux is not a miracle operating system. It can bring life to older laptops or desktops. But mainly, it's like watching videos, like YouTube, or listening to podcasts or music, stuff like that. Depending on what type And it seems like a lot of the Linux users, they save, save a lot of laptops, and they want to, you know, do a lot on that laptop, and it's not always possible. So know your limitations, know what you want to do. And I go back and forth. So I stream pretty steadily. I had gotten off of Windows. So let's see. I've been on Linux for 10 years, over 10 years now. I got into it. And so that was 2015. I got into Linux. I was now the 11-year mark because it was May of 2015. My wife had brought home from a local library she worked at an old Asus netbook 1001HA that used to run Windows XP. And at the time, we just had the desktop, and I had an old Sam. At the time, it was newer, Samsung S Galaxy, Galaxy S2 tablet. And my wife's boss had given it to her because they were upgrading at the library. They were moving to iPads for their patrons. So she goes, "Can you do anything with this?" I said, "Well, I can check it out." And I started looking at stuff. What can run on this type of computer? And we're talking. What are we talking about? I can't. I can barely remember the stats on it. All I know is when we got it, it had 1 gig of memory, and I updated it to 2, which helped. But I learned about lightweight distros and all that, and I had gotten several distros to work on it. And at that time, too, on my desktop, I was multi-booting in Windows 7 and Windows 10 because there was some of the software that was available for Windows 7 wasn't going to be available for Windows 10. And then I ended up throwing 2 like different Linux on there too, so I was quadruple booting. And so, come about 2017, I totally wiped off Windows off of both on my computer, and I was just running Linux for through when did I go back to Windows? 2023, late 2023. I decided to got tired of the more I learned about OBS, and then I learned about StreamerBot, the things that I would do or could do was just growing kind of exponentially. And Linux it's like there was a lot of workarounds or things I really couldn't do. And I said, well, let me check this out on Windows. Because StreamerBot is a program that's made, it's native to Windows, not Linux, but you can get it to run on Linux in either a Wine install or Bottles install. I run mine in Bottles now. It's pretty easy to install, but StreamerBot does miss out on some things in Linux, like voice control. And its partner program, Speakerbot, where we can do live TTSs. And because it uses Windows voice system, and I don't think you could really get that working in a Wine or Bottles install. I think you would have to basically be running Windows in a VM if you wanted to go that route. That's a whole nother thing. So I wanted to get that real good experience of getting to use a lot of different softwares for streaming, which unfortunately is only available on Windows. So then for about a year and a half, I streamed exclusively on Windows. I kept testing on Linux and that. One of the things too is, display server Wayland versus X11. Wayland is the future for, well, I guess, display servers, and it's more secure and all that than its counterpart. But there's certain aspects like OBS, and I talk about this constantly. They use Ceph Chromium Embedded Framework to do like certain docs and stuff like that. And there really is no other comparable. You can't take a Firefox install and throw it in there or anything like that. And they have to wait for Ceph because they're different. They're not open source. They're not part of Linux and that. But Linux, OBS uses them to build stuff in their OBS platform. And you have to wait on them to work Wayland into their project. And from what I understand, it's very complicated, very hard. But that's what you get sometimes over in the open source Linux community, stuff that is pretty cool, but not everything is going to work 100% because everybody uses something now. There's always this little tit for tat. And I got tired of that. I just did. So after, successfully doing, like really building StreamerBot and VSTs and all sorts of things that I could add to my stream, I decided to go back and start looking at building my Linux setup and try to get it as close to my Windows setup as possible. And I've come a lot farther than I ever have. I've worked really hard on doing things. Yes, like Speakerbot or StreamerBot, you can't use a voice control. So what I mean by voice control, if you want something like computer, right monitor. Oh, I got that to work on Linux. Well,
Here's the right monitor, boss.
It's not through StreamerBot. I built and installed Vosk onto my system, and it combines with OBS commands to do my voice control. Do you need something like that? Oh, I can use my function key and all that. But, like if you're just talking and you don't want to really look down at your keyboards or look at press buttons, I have a touch portal as my deck and I could just do it manually. But there's sometimes something just easy about using voice commands. I used ChatGPT in the beginning to help me build it up. I have a script that runs that listens for the voice commands and couples it with the OBS commands, which then talks to the WebSocket server in OBS, and then it also then sends a message to StreamerBot, sorry. But I can't use Speakerbot because Speakerbot pretty much works on Windows voice and it's kind of TTS function, text to speech. Well, I was researching something like Piper and trying to build something out of that. And it just so happens some young developer put together a simple program called Speekaboo. And it uses voices from some of these home system applications, but you can use for TTS and that, and it's built with Piper, and it's in a .onx format, Onyx, and actually, that's what I used to replace SpeakerBot. Again, I had to build it it's kind of in a virtual envelope environment. It runs out of a folder. And I have a script that starts that up. In fact, I got a script that starts all my software I'm going to use for the stream. But Speekaboo is a very lightweight TTS system that you can use in conjunction with StreamerBot on Linux, because it does use, it's ported to use the WebSocket server for StreamerBot itself. So StreamerBot thinks it's SpeakerBot, and it's it's got the HTT here. Let me show you. Computer right monitor.
Is the right monitor, boss?
Hey, Penguin.
Steve, someone has joined the chat on YouTube.
Penguin Revolution is joining from the YouTube side. Oh man, it's so warm today here. It's in the 80s. It's 29C. So I'm talking about this program, Speekaboo. It's very, very lightweight, very limited compared to SpeakerBot on Windows. You cannot use set it up for AI voices. Of course, you join YouTube, and you get the shout out. Penguin is a Linux creator. You can find some of his stuff if you follow the link. But Speekaboo is local. It uses Piper TTS. It's combined with Piper TTS, which you find on a lot of home automated systems that are open source. And it's got a complete you download the main Onyx type system, and you get all these voices
Steve,
in different languages.
Has joined the chat on Twitch.
Hey, JJ.
Hello. Hello.
Penguins are taking over. Yeah. Penguins, them creatures from Greenland, because there are a lot of penguins in Greenland. But you have a wide array of languages. Of course, I'm using English. And in English, there's Great Britain. You got all these languages, these quality languages. Some of them are double, because some of them are medium or high, but they download on your system. They're not going to the web. And you can download. So I also have a couple of extra voices that's not in that pack, but were in .onx files. And I got Hal the Computer. I got a Data. I got a Jarvis. I got a Picard. I think on this one, I just named it Test, but I got Bobby from King of the Hill. Your plot is to rule the world and force everyone to submit to my will through Linux. Just keep thinking that. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Its settings, it uses the WebSocket server, which for StreamerBot is 127.0.0. That's not a secret. That's but what all WebSocket servers in StreamerBot uses. And then it has a UDP server. So the UDP server you can use. So what I do is I have my StreamerBot read files that Speekaboo will send a message to StreamerBot and send it to the chat. And that's what some like when I do my scene change. You got me already? You're using Fedora? Fedora. That's one of them RPM type distributions, huh? Computer main view.
Here is the main view boss.
You heard her. That's sending it back, and Speekaboo then speaks to SpeakerBot and then speaks to you or speaks to me. I've used Fedora or tested it out a couple of times. I did always like their kind of implementation of GNOME. It was the customization has always looked very nice. It was very, very, very professional, very nice looking at that. But having to add all the extras back in because it ships with just open source in mind. I'm not a big user or believer of using the OBS Flatpak. For maybe the average streamer, it is fine because it's limited on the amount of plugins that you use. And getting, if they're not built in a Flatpak, the plugin itself, you have difficulties getting it to work in the Flatpak. I've talked about, I have over 31 plugins on my Linux setup, 34 on my Windows setup. And I use pretty much all of them. I went through my list a couple of times, and I think I did have 33 on Linux, and I got rid of 2 that really I didn't use. But I have a good system, and I know I can do all this stuff. So I think I've come pretty close in building my streaming system up to somewhat equal my Windows setup. The last hurdle that I've kind of been working on, and I got it semi. So for voice changes in that, I created different voices and using a program called Easy Effects, which connects to my microphone. So I can override that manually. I got several voices that I can change through Easy Effects. Not as easy and not cool as using a VST through OBS. You're not going to get those to work if you're on a Wayland system. The same thing that hampers you from using custom docks in OBS on Wayland kind of hampers your use of VSTs. Your system is either going to crash or you're not going to be able to control your voices. Thing is, you can use certain VSTs to really fine tune that. And Easy Effects in Linux is really designed to help improve sound, but you can use the same tools to help distort the sound. So like this setup I'm on right now, it's called my normal voice.
Then I switch it over and I have my President Trump voice. Yes. I want everything named after me.
And I have this on my touch portal. Doesn't sound evil enough? Did it sound baby enough? And so now it should be back to, yeah, it's back to normal. And then I can switch over to
my hacker voice. You know, I can do I should create a scene. I have a Matrix scene that I go to that I use this voice on, but then I can develop a I'm in protective custody and put myself in the dark here.
But I have to have easy effects hooked up, which is not hard. It actually, I'd looked at it before. It seemed harder than what it was. It does have a lot of tools in it, but sometimes you do have to add more. Wasn't difficult in an Arch-based system, but you have to grab some of the sound tools from the AUR. I think it's a little bit easier in an Ubuntu-based system for Linux. But I would love to be able to fine-tune the voices just a little bit more. Because I know hopefully it doesn't do it too badly, but I created this robot voice. And now I can't hear it when I change. Because I don't monitor my speaking, because that's, you can't monitor yourself when you're speaking. It's bad enough you're speaking, you hear yourself, and then you hear yourself again in your ears a split second later, and the delay is pretty bad. But I noticed the clicking in that on the robot voice. And hopefully back to normal voice that the clicking is not there. I haven't looked at that for a while. And then I also use NVIDIA. I have an NVIDIA 4060. So on Windows, I use the NVIDIA AR SDK that I can do real good background. It's got beautiful background removal, something that AMD doesn't have. But I found this plugin that actually works. There's two background removal plugins in Linux that you can use through OBS. One's by a developer, Roy Shillett. He's done quite a few things in that, but in my setups on Linux, it seems to have a hard time seeing the NVIDIA card, and it wants to use my CPU. And it usually, when it runs, it doubles my usage, my CPU usage. Whereas this other one, it's called Background Remover Lite. I forget who the developer is, but I have it set up. It's a bit better. It's, you know, you can see my you know, the back of my my headrest kind of slightly fading in and out, but it's gotten really good. I got it fine-tuned. It does a pretty decent job. It is not as clear as the NVIDIA AR background removal. But I can deal with this because it is not at all. It's designed differently than the way Roy does it. And I only run them when I go to, so like I do a hologram or I do the matrix or something like that. But I can also run it manually like that. So, little more work to it, but you know, if you watch, I think I've been seeing a lot of people coming over to Linux, and one guy was trying to get VSTs to work, but couldn't understand why, you know, like he was on Kubuntu, why he couldn't get, like every time he tried to set up a VST, OBS crashed, which is kind of things to do. So he switched things over to like running on X Wayland, which, especially with OBS, it's not supported. And it does. I tried it. It is a horrible combo in my testing. But I still couldn't get the VSTs to work out right, and other things would crash in OBS. So if you want to be able to use custom docs, and what I mean by custom docs, if you set up for YouTube or Twitch, and you get the docs that come out where you can set up your streaming and all that, you're not going to get that on a Wayland-based system. And you're not going to get VSTs. You have to find a system that's still running what's called X11, and those are slowly disappearing. But Zorin OS still runs on X11, so you'll be able to get custom docs to work on that and VSTs to work in there. Or something like XFCE, but they're all slowly starting to change. But a lot of people are going to two distributions lately, CashieOS and Bazite. CashieOS is an Arch-based system. Now I'm on EndeavourOS, which is Arch-based, and I use the GNOME desktop, and it is Wayland because now GNOME 50 is the strictly Wayland, so I can't even just switch over to X11. I like the GNOME desktop. That's my thing of choice. But some of the other distros out there, if you're running them, it may start up in Wayland, but you could switch it over to X11. CashieOS is a gamer's designed system where you can use specific kernels and all that. I don't game like that, so I don't care about CashieOS. I know you can, I wouldn't, depending on what, okay, it depends on what you want to do. I'm not telling you shouldn't use a Flatpak, just if you are someone coming over from Windows and are used to using a lot of plugins, you're not going to get that in the Flatpak. And then you have to be careful because of the Arch-based system of what OBS install that you can install. There's a few of them in what is called the AUR, the Arch User Report repository. Now I use a version that's called OBS Studio Titan 642. He is he's kind of on a volunteer on the Linux OBS Discord. And he builds up a pretty complete OBS. Again, still, unless you're running on X11, you're not going to get custom docs and all that. But it is one of the more complete ones out there. And there, you can find, you'd have to find a lot of the plugins in the AUR for OBS, which not a trial. Like he packages a lot of them from the OBS plugin. I mean, he packages them for the AUR, but a lot of them fall under other. I don't even know if you can call them developers, packagers. Hey, I got this package for you, buddy. I've been waiting. Possibly my power source might show up today. Wasn't supposed to show up till Thursday. It's out being shipped. I'm looking for that. But this person went on CashieOS, and he used the KDE desktop, and he just couldn't get a lot of things to work, and like some of the things that he used in Windows, you can't find, over in Linux. All right, you take care. I'm glad you killed some time here. There's no better place to kill time than this stream, because we kill time pretty well. So I hope all things are good with your doctor appointment, Penguin. So take care. And then goes on the person goes on a tirade how, this has been going on for over 5 years. Why can't OBS figure it out and get this and that? It's like, one, you're kind of, I get sometimes that you got to vent, but find the right place to vent, not in the support channel. Go to off topics for one. But do your research before coming over to Linux is all I can say, the best you can. And if you're going to reach out to those in the support, remember they're volunteers. Be kind, rewind. No, be kind. Because they're not getting paid to take your bullshit. And how some of these, these people are really, are pretty good. They once in a while come close to saying, hey, I'm done with you. But they will try to help you. But be kind. I have no idea what it takes to build OBS. Why, how Chromium Embedded Framework works into the picture and all that. I could try to learn and understand it maybe, but if they say there's no real alternative. And then also remember, it is open source software. It is free. You didn't pay anything for it. So it doesn't give you the right to, you can bitch about it. That's not a problem. But to tell the people that are part of developing it that they should do better. OBS is an amazing piece of software. There's a lot that goes on with it. You don't have many options on Linux. On Windows, you can move to meld. Or on Linux, you use web-based systems or, like, what is it? Stream Duck. It's got the duck on it. There's a few of those out there, but you can't use plugins and stuff like that. And again, you're in the open source world where some of these projects, like I think OBS has 4 paid full-timers, and that's it. And the rest are volunteers. You look at something like StreamerBot. Oh, why isn't it in Linux yet? Why is it in Mac? Why is it only in Windows? Well, when the developer started doing it, he had no idea that it would be. I'm pretty sure he had no idea that it was going to become this popular. He thought he was going to build something that people can use and all that. So it was built in the Windows mode of mine. His latest update to version 1 was to lead to that track, but he's by himself. He may have some side people helping, but Nate 1280 is by himself. StreamerBot is not open source, so you can't fork it or anything like that. but he's trying to keep it from being a pay version. And some of these really cool software ideas come from developers like that. And they don't always get the support that they deserve. But anyway, I'm kind of going off here a little bit. But just remember that when you go into those forums and ask for help. And again, like coming over to Linux is not your savior. It's not Superman. Can do a lot of cool stuff. But like I was always looking for, trying to, who can make something that will help me. And I went on to,
Steve, someone has joined the chat on YouTube.
Oh, hello there.
Crazy Tech. Hello, welcome to the stream. What's my opinion on Microsoft slowly ruining Windows by shoving AI in the corner of every part of the operating system? AI, again, that's the magic word. It's, it's like people will think it's a step away from Terminator. It's machine learning. But when you use it as, if you use it as a tool to help you, that's one thing. If you use it for everything, that's never really good. I'm an older guy and I try to learn stuff, but can I get to that developer stage? No. So I kind of use it to help me. I came up with my music player that way. My upper third. And these are simple to me. I do not need to use that, but they're made out of HTML and all that. But I find that, if you're going to use AI, you need to ask the correct questions and when to question it. And not just take it at its word. For what Microsoft is doing, like throwing it into its text editor too. What kind of shit is that? Who needs that? Now I think they're kind of gonna end up backing off. But now you got some Linux distributions that are looking to throw AI in. I mean, it will be an opt-out thing. You should be able to opt out of it. That's my, it shouldn't be forced on you. I stream Windows and Linux. When I'm on, actually, Linux is my main system to do all sorts of stuff. And Windows is just my streaming platform in most cases. I'll go back and forth. I stream a couple days a week on Linux and a couple days a week on Windows. So I'm not always in Windows enough to let that AI stuff bother me. I don't look it up and all that, but any force of AI. But yeah, I've been using it to build stuff, and I have to question it. It's like, well, or it will. I'll definitely tell it I'm on an Arch-based system, and then it will give me instructions for Ubuntu, and it's like, what? No, this isn't right. You personally use Arch Linux, and you haven't been using it for. You've been using it for 3 years. Yeah, I've been I've been on Linux for 10 years. In 2015, I started on Linux. 2017, I stopped using Windows, and I didn't go back to Windows until 2023. I needed to keep up with Windows because my wife's laptop ran Windows 10. So I had to keep up with Windows, but I didn't really run it. And I just got tired of some of the workarounds with some of the stuff that I wanted to do with streaming. So that's why I had gone back to Windows, but now I kind of go back and forth to both. I don't game, so I don't look at, I use EndeavourOS. I never thought that I would really be on any type of an Arch-based system. I was always on an Ubuntu-based system because it is, like, especially for OBS and all that, it's a lot easier. But I was using Pop! OS for about 4 years, and then they decided to go with their new desktop Cosmic. Strictly Wayland, Rust, and NVIDIA, the three of them just did not work well together. And OBS was a piece of shit. Sorry for my language. On Pop Cosmic. Not even talking about custom docks. Any docks that you moved around, you couldn't move around. They didn't lock into place. Now, it may have changed, but I had been testing and using EndeavourOS for a while, so that's now my main system. In fact, I have it on 4. I have my wife on EndeavourOS, believe it or not. But I have 1 desktop and 3 laptops all running Endeavor. 2 laptops run XFCE, 1 runs GNOME, and my desktop runs GNOME. And all in all, I'm pretty pleased with it. Do the little things happen? Yeah. But Endeavor for me is, it's good. It's well supported. I will never, ever, ever go with a one-man or lonely person distro ever again. For my first few years was on Peppermint OS. And then, unfortunately, the developer had passed, and, he had people helping him in that, but he didn't really keep notes or... I mean, for me, Peppermint 10 was a Frankenstein distro of perfection. It just worked. Now the new team that took over Peppermint, they had a big step in front of it. Shoulda, woulda, coulda changed the name. But now it's Debian based and very lightweight and very different. But it's Debian based, and I will not stream off of Debian. That's just me. But it's a big learning curve coming from Windows to Linux. Like I said, I go through the OBS Discord forum pretty much every day. The Windows to Linux, some of their other stuff there. There are many how should I put this without being really offensive, but there's just as many uneducated computer users on the Windows side as there is on the Linux side. But take those uneducated Windows PC users or laptop users and then throw them trying to try Linux, and it's hey, we all got to start somewhere. I did. I had no freaking clue of what I was doing with Linux. Oh, I can get it installed. Okay. Oh, I deleted something off the bar. How do I put it back? Oh, no. But the problem, I think, with a lot of longtime Linux users is they forget the beginning. It wasn't easy for them. The community has grown, and there's a lot more help out there these days than even 10 years ago. Go back 20 years and forget about it. Just trying to install something. Now, I don't know about you, Craze. Did you what Arch-based system are you on? Did you install Arch yourself? Did you do the command method, or are you on a supported Arch-based system? Well, I went with Endeavor because it's pretty good. There you go. The first time you used Linux was back in 2018, where the only command you knew was sudo app install. I'll tell you now that I've been on using Yay and that and on Endeavor. When I was having problems a couple weeks ago. I think I diagnosed it to finally being a power issue, because I run Windows and Linux off the same machine, and the same exact thing would happen. All of a sudden, the desktop would go blank. Computer would still be running. Some software would still be running because I would still hear my music in that, but I couldn't. But OBS would crash. And I'm thinking, oh, was it an NVIDIA driver? But I'm on Windows, and I know it does mess up, but the exact same thing would happen on Endeavor. It's like, oh, it just died. So I thought, well, maybe being on Endeavor, I'm too advanced with the drivers in that. And I was looking kind of at an Ubuntu-based system that I can kind of go back to, because I like to install the PPA of OBS, because that's your best install out there. And it's easier with the plugins, because there's a lot of developers that make their plugins for Linux too. When you first use Arch, it took me an hour to get through the whole installation guide. The partition part confused me a lot. I did install, way back when, not way back when, but there was a Linux group called Big Daddy Linux that they would, Rocco would have a stream of open stream on a Saturday night on YouTube. And we would do distro challenges. And one of the challenge was install Arch. I ended up using one of the Arch scripts. There was no way I was just going to do it all by command, but I did get it installed. I got an XFCE version installed, but I never kept it. Yeah, you knew the Arch install exists, but what the fun was in that? Yeah. You'll learn more about Linux if you install Arch the old way, and I think that's just a bunch of bullshit. If something goes wrong, you'll learn something, but by just entering commands, that's why I went with Endeavor. It's got a pretty good team behind it, and it's pretty well updated in that. I wasn't going to go to CachyOS. Something like that. And then the other one is like Bazite's a big one because of gaming. I put new users on a Fedora-based system. To me, it's the same thing as telling a new user to go to Arch. Saw a comment in the forum the other day about how the laptop they had, I forget what they had in it, but it only had 4 gigs of memory. Says he ran Windows 10 in early Windows 10, and he was able to stream and play Doom and record. He may have had an i3 in there, but he had 4 gigs of memory. I don't think he even mentioned that he had an iGPU, just and in running that combination on a Linux install, he didn't say what install, but that it ran worse, and he thought by coming over to Linux, everything would just run better. And that's, that's the sometimes the misspoken parts of Linux, people not telling people the right thing. But there's so many people that don't know like what I don't expect everybody in the world to be a geek. I know my wife will ask me questions and I'll try to make it simple as I can. I'm definitely not your biggest tech person out there, but I have rebuilt computers. I have taken laptops apart, all sorts of stuff. I forget more than I know. And I try to explain to her something, and she'll be like looking at me like, can you explain that in language I understand? And
Gameplay activated boss. Enjoy
I-
GeoGuessr.
I didn't ask for gameplay, computer. Computer main view.
Here is the main view boss.
Thank you, computer. I see, I expect that out of the Windows setup. Okay. We're running ads right now if you're on Twitch. But it's stuff I've been seeing off the Windows side too. People are pulling out, like someone has a computer, they still have Windows 8.1 on it. And they're running OBS 27. I mean, sometimes we're stuck with what we have in in hardware. I get that. I don't even know if they were on a Linux system, if that would save them, if they can run anything better on OBS. But that's crazy. I mean, eventually, I thought it was great. I had all these HD laptops that were given to me by a brother-in-law that was in a computer repair sales business, and he gave me like 8 laptops and 4 desktops, and this was 5 plus, no, God, longer, almost 10 years. About the same time I started doing Linux. And it's great. I could put Linux on these HPs and that. But as these go, I'm not gonna save them. I mean, because we're limited on what we can do on them, and it's after only a certain point can you really repurpose them. And I get about trying to keep them out of the landfill. I do have one that just shows a slideshow. It's still got 4 gigs of memory in it. It's an older HP. I've got an EndeavourOS XFCE running on it. I got variety wallpaper change on it, and I put all my photos on there. And so it's a great conversation piece. People will see pictures that they haven't seen in forever. My wife I have a lot of digital pictures that people maybe have not been able to see. My wife's like, what are you going to do with them? Because the printing them up and put them in a photo album, I mean, could do that, but so I took, the laptop I would hardly use because that laptop actually doesn't have a webcam in it. I could put up 8 gigs of memory in it if I wanted to, because I would think it was DDR2. But it's not worth it. I mean, OBS won't install on it because of there's no real dedicated GPU for it. But it runs a slideshow. And I had mentioned recently that my wife's like, I love you and I hate you. I'm like, what? I love you because you put these pictures out there. I've never seen most of these pictures. I hate you because I stayed up all night watching them. And even now, I remember what was that picture taken? Or I remember, she goes, remember when we went there? Or, my son's 30 years old now. I got, when he was a little guy on there. That's great. That is a great way to save a computer. I wish the monitor was bigger. Unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away a couple months ago, and I had given him one of the desktop computers that I had gotten from my brother-in-law, put Linux on it for him. It's one of those older IBM workstations that you'll see in businesses and that. I probably could find a GPU for it, but it would take a small form. I know I upped the memory and I put an SSD in there. And he was just running. I had him on Pop OS. And Pop OS was great because they had automatic updates. Because we would go there, he would be well out of updates sometimes when we go to visit him. Then he didn't have to think about it. It just updated automatically. But I'm going to be picking up that desktop. And it's got a 17-inch, no, 20.
Steve, someone has joined the chat on Twitch.
Hello.
Hello, Donnie.
Hello.
What's up, Don? How are you, buddy? How's it going, legend? Gonna give me a big head. I have to do one of those things where it also where my head gets stretched out and then pops like a balloon. Just bought your boxing gloves, mate? You're gonna get ready for the discussion. Yeah, I thought Sunday went pretty well. So, those that are watching, I stream about 4 times a week. I do Tux Tuesday on Tuesdays where we can talk about Linuxy kind of stuff. I used to have before I came over to Twitch, and even then I think for a while, I had, on Sundays, I did a Sunday Linux coffee clutch where I had guests and we talked about Linux. But I got kind of tired of that format, and I extremely got tired of doing distro hopping and, distro reviews and stuff like that. I totally changed my format. Now Sundays is just the Sunday coffee clutch. Steve's very own Sunday coffee clutch, where we just shoot the shit, talk about what's gone on during the week. And we actually, this past week, we had, we covered stuff on politics and religion, some things that normally we shouldn't talk about, but people were relatively respectful. We talked about healthcare here in the States compared to other countries, and it went pretty well. So Donnie's talking about the boxing gloves he decides to throw out there. Get ready to duck, Donnie. that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. What'd you say, Donnie? Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, and I'll fight the first person. No, I don't think he said that. Change my mind. Make me change my mind. It's like, damn, Donnie, those fighting words. I'm dying on that hill. So that was pretty good. So Sunday is the coffee clutch. These are your own coffee
Steve,
clutch.
Someone has joined the chat on YouTube.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Hello, Benzel. Chat platform BridgeBot? Yes. I wish I could take credit for that. There is a multi-streamer. He streams on YouTube and Twitch. Boom so much. He plays what's that guitar program? Rock Band or something like that. He's got a very elaborate OBS setup. He's got all sorts of stuff going on. I can't even compare to him. And he made a simple Guitar Hero. Yeah, it might be Guitar Hero. But yeah, Boom so much, all in one word, Boom so much. And he did a video on cross chat, and Twitch normally doesn't. I didn't like that stuff. I've been using it for over a year, and never heard a word. I don't think Twitch really cares. I do say Twitch is my main platform now, and YouTube is just my side, because the way Twitch does what's, helps streamers out, with all the open API and the stuff you can do with it, and how very limited YouTube is. But I had been looking for something, because normally you see the chat on the screen. Everybody would have to pay attention to the chat if they wanted to respond to the other stream. And I do this through StreamerBot. And with the thanks of Boom so much. So again, Sunday is the coffee clutch, where we just talk about stuff during the week. Tuesday is my Linuxy stuff. Wednesday can be Linux or Windows. Then Thursday, the only gaming I do is GeoGuessr. It's actually, I use OpenGuessr. And that's been fun. I've been getting a lot of views with that. It's nice traveling the world. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, or Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, however you want to look at it. Every once in a while, I'll throw in another stream. Been extremely warm today, but we had a lovely long bank holiday weekend. Wow, your bank holiday coincided with our Memorial Day. Yes, it was nice. I was helping my sister paint yesterday. She's trying to paint her condo. She's looking maybe to sell and buy a house. So she normally doesn't ask me for a lot of help. So I went over there for a while and was helping her the best I can. And then today I planted my garden. I am so freaking tired. But I got my garden planted. So that's what we talk about here. And again, on the Linux stuff, I'll impart what knowledge I know or have. But there's some things like if you're a gamer and you stream, I probably couldn't help you so much. But it's warm here today. As you see the screen, it's 29C here, Donnie. In the 80s. I don't have the air conditioner on. Unless it gets in the 90s, we don't throw our air conditioner on. I get more of a, the allergies can be bad, but I get more of a headache being in air conditioning all day long. Steve is actually not the biggest Linux lover. I look at computers and software and OSs as a tool to do what I want to do. And if that's on Linux, great. If it's on Windows, great. But sometimes between Linux and Windows, there's this politics that go on. Donnie, imagine some of the stuff that we talked about Sunday was relatively serious in that. How serious, more serious it is in some of these Linux groups. And the talk, you mentioned Windows, and it would be, it would be, boo! Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's your only choice. Oh, it just, I get it. Windows has done a lot of things to turn the user away. I know one person that used to follow me stopped following me because I stopped, a number of them have, because I stopped talking about Linux the way I used to. Yeah, no one really got offended. I mean, there was some kind of bogus replies, but sometimes in the Linux, oh my God, Donnie, it's just duck. Linux users are very passionate for sure, Ben. So yes, that's a nice way to put it. Sometimes I should build I probably should have that. I'm going to build a tinfoil hat. I get it. But no matter what you do on Linux, the moment you are online, your privacy, no matter what, I'm sorry, no matter what you do, your privacy is out the window. You can make things a little more private. But if you're that paranoid, you just need to move out to the country and not be online, move out to the mountains on an island somewhere, no internet, and feed your goats and sheep and just call it a day. There's a certain part of Linux that there's a lot of paranoid users. And that's the truth. And I stopped dealing with that. And so people have stuck with me and others have not. But to me, a computer and a OS is a tool. Crazy as mentioned earlier about AI when he first came in. AI is one of those things too. I don't think AI is good for business. I think that getting rid of people so you as a billionaire can become a trillionaire, I don't begrudge you for it. But when you screw everybody else or screw with everybody else, you have a problem. I mean, look at what Bezos is doing with Amazon and that. Uh-oh. Where did my camera go? Oh, hopefully no problems are coming, but for some reason. Oh. My phone is overheating from my camera. All right. Let me just restart. I don't know why it's overheating. I'm going to restart my camera. And in the meantime, we'll go to a side shot. You can see the fat man. Yeah, AI is attacking. I don't know what. Yeah, the camera is pretty hot. So I use I have a, this is, where am I? This way. I have this is a Samsung S8 that's got a cracked screen that replaced when I retired. I got a Pixel 8 Pro. Now I can use that as a camera, but I get too many messages on it. The only problem with using this, like some of the Matrix stuff, that's not going to work. All right. I'm like, oh, what else is going on? Now, this could be tied into the power issues that I'm having. But it's only at 71% charged. I think it might be because I started unplugging it so it wouldn't be attached to the computer. Because I'll use the USB connection, not the Wi-Fi. There's a good lag with the Wi-Fi connection. So if you have an old, Android device, all right, let's see. There we go. But now my camera's all off from my. Problem with doing it this way is every time I come on, if I do like my background remover, is regular, is where it was. That's pretty close. There we go. I'm like, oh no, I disappeared. That happens from time to time. But that should. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of passed. I don't know what I had last week. I just had a sore throat all week and headaches. Of course, now I'm talking too much today and it's too warm out, so now my throat's getting sore. And the iced coffee is getting warm, just too warm for coffee. But sometimes, like if that happens when I'm on Windows, I have a hard time with the camera coming back. But that hasn't overheated like that in a while. You always been an Apple user. You think Android is better? Again, it's what you become used to. I like Androids because it's more of a computer. And how can I say it? Apple might be more of an experience. I know Android's got its issues with Google and its walled garden, but I think that the Google walled garden is a lot more open than the Apple walled garden is. And I worked many years in drugstore retail where we had photo labs. And when we went digital and the amount of people that would come in, all these older folks that were given iPhones by their kids that can't figure, even the kids, they have no idea how to work their iPhone sometimes. and they'll have thousands and thousands and thousands. I mean, we're talking. I've had people come in with 5 to 10,000 photos on their iPhone. And with iPhone, if you are close to that limit and you are filling up your hard drive, your iPhone drive, it'll turn on iCloud and move all your photos to the cloud. You'll be able to see them on your phone. So people still think they're on their phone, but yet our photo labs, whether you would come to us, like I work for Walgreens or CVS or any other type of retailer that has a photo lab in it, we can't see your pictures. We don't see the cloud. Oh my God, people would just get so upset with us. Where if they can download certain, now, you know, I can clear all my photos off my phone and they're up in Google Photos. But it's really simple to download them back to my phone as I need them if I wanted to do that. Yes, I'm signed in, you know, you're on your Android phone, you're on your Google account, so you're always signed in. But you have to sign into iCloud and make sure that you have the right PIN. And many people don't know how to do that. So you know what they do? They bring up their picture on the phone through the cloud and then do a screenshot of the picture on their phone. And that is like regular iPhone users. So I'm like, that's stupid. That's stupid. I mean, I hear that iPhone's a little more secure, maybe, and they're a little more touchy with their Play Store. But I just don't like the UI of an iPhone. And that it's user friendly is a bunch of shit. It's no more, no less user friendly than an Android. But that's another thing coming from Windows to Linux. Oh, we have to have that Linux distro look exactly like Windows, even though it doesn't handle as Windows. Instead of thinking, you know what, if people can figure out their phone or their tablet and have no problems do it, should they not be able to figure out an operating system? I don't know. You like to use, Ben Solo likes to use Android better for utility. These days I see myself using phones less and less overall. At home. So when I'm streaming or preparing for a stream, I'm on my computer. When I'm not, because I'll share this room with my son, and he'll be on his Windows laptop and then also on the Linux desktop with all sorts of Google, you know, like YouTube videos going and that. I stopped using laptops because I have a nice Lenovo tablet that I purchased that has a great sound bar on it and that. So my phone is used mostly for texting. Texting, and I do a lot of my email on there. What I don't know if this happens on iPhones, but you know, when you get on Android, I'll get an email message, right? I'll be able to tell if that's a spam message coming from, you know, like some of those bullshit. You purchased $471.27 of Bitcoin, because there'll be a bunch of gibberish that you see, however it is related to on the screen. And you go into it and you look at where the email came from, and it's like a bogus. It's like some, you know, Billy Bob at yahoo.com. I don't think Billy Bob works in the, you know, not that there isn't a Billy Bob that's probably getting Bitcoin. So I find it useful there. And of course, when I'm in my car, I use Android Auto. But there is often now, since I'm retired and I don't have to worry about text messages from work. Well, this lady's got an expired coupon. Should I take it? Oh, just fucking take it. Take care of the customer. What are you wasting time calling me for or texting me for? I get that. I used to get that all the time. Sorry, Make a decision. There are several other mobile operating systems, right? Well, there's a couple that are Linux-based, but they're not. There's some that are getting better. My wife has a flip phone that you can do web stuff on it, but it uses it's a TCL phone, but it uses, fudge, I forget what operating system it has. It's not Android. Surprising that is. But again, Android, iPhone, whatever you're comfortable with, use it. I know why I won't use it, but I wouldn't tell anybody. Like iOS is one. There's another one I seen the other day in my feed. And there's a couple of Linux phones that are trying, like one was like really bad. Harmony, maybe. And again, Android, and depending on the app. Now, I won't download just any app. I'm very specific about the apps I use on my phone. I delete all games. I have no games on my phone. I don't do games on my phone. I don't do Facebook on my phone. I try to delete most of the apps off here. That's why I like the Google Pixel. Outside of like for system uses in that, for medical, one I use for music, it's called mute. Oh, there goes the camera again. Overheating again. Oh yeah, it just shut down. All right. That is pretty unusual. So you'll have to do it the side view of the fat man. I can do this cam or I can do this cam. This would be like a radio station, like some of the radio stations, they have the side cam where the guy's looking at a screen and you see him from the side. But there are so many apps. Oh god, so excited. I have my banking app, my very specific, two of my banking apps for my cards. Because I'm one of the few, like my wife and I are one of the few in the world. We have a debit card and we have a credit card. Two different companies, but they're major bank and outside of that, like. Yeah, even Walgreens has a credit card now. You got all Home Depot and Lowe's and airlines. How many credit cards are really going to help you? I don't know, but like Vimo. How many people use Vimo? I don't know. I wouldn't trust Vimo. I wouldn't trust one of these other apps to touch into my bank. But a lot of people use Vimo. There's Vimo and some other one. I don't know. I and there's a lot of game, and these gaming apps, have access to your computer. Oh, I know. I started talking about the music player. So I don't use YouTube Music on my phone. The Google Music player went away because of, and the Google Podcast player went away. Do I trust apps like Apple Pay or Google Pay? I did try Google when we went to Florida last year, and Disney doesn't. Everything's digital now at Disney World, and I had to put our tickets on the phone, and it seemed to work fine. But will I hook it up to my bank? No. I mean, I do PayPal, but I don't even have the PayPal app on my phone. Because too many of these apps, they don't. What does a bank app need to do? Well, they might need to. I don't think they would ever do anything online with you visually, but they have to have access to to all your camera, your file system, your microphone, all that stuff. But so it says here in Brazil, we have a centralized digital payment PIX, kind of like Venmo, but all banks have to support it. And see, that's when you get out of the U.S. Go to Europe or something like that. And the governments are doing stuff to kind of like, but not here because everybody's on the scam. Okay, Donnie, we got the biggest scammer in the world in the White House. Yeah, has anybody ordered the Trump phone, the fake gold Trump phone that no one's receiving? Everybody got scammed for? God, crazy. But there's too many apps. I mean, it might be like tinfoil Tuesday time for me, but like a lot of the apps though have permissions that are not needed. So like, I don't have unlimited internet with my phones. So all my music, if I listen to it in the car, I have a good selection of music that I've downloaded over time or burned, so to speak. Ooh, are you kidding me? Yes. I am going to take a quick break because I had a package delivered. I will be right back. Okay. So before I show you, I got my power source delivered. We'll do an open box. So I don't want a music player that's going to reach out online, and use up my data when I'm on Android Auto. So there's an app. It's called Music Colette that is just all local on the phone. Doesn't reach out for album art, anything else. It just plays music off your phone, and it works with Android Auto. Because I don't need it to. I know a lot of people today have totally unlimited or pretty much unlimited internet, but we have 3 people on a if I went unlimited with me, my wife, and my son, it would raise our phone bill by $50 to $60, and we're already paying it's gone up again, but it's around $184 a month just for 3 lines of limited access. But we use Verizon. It's quite a bit. So to get off of app phones, so I got a package here today that just got delivered. It wasn't supposed to be here till Thursday. But because I'm such a good customer, I got to get the 2-day Amazon. All right, so looks like a new box. Here we go. Doesn't look like it's been opened before. So that's a good sign. And I am so bad when I order stuff. Yeah, I'm so bad when I order stuff online and I look, and it could have hundreds of great reviews, and I'm always looking at the bad reviews because that's me. That would be me. I would be getting that piece, but I've never really gotten anything bad that I can remember. I think the only thing that I have had to return in the last several years is I had what was called an icy dock. So I can do my discs in the front here instead of having to put them in the computer. So I sent that back. They sent me another one, and I had that for a number of years. But then that also had issues, so it just wouldn't connect right. So I looked for an 80 plus gold. I didn't need more than 650 watts. I don't know how many calculators online, and I plugged in my CPU, my GPU, my motherboard, my memory, how many SSDs, how many hard drives I have, and all of them came up with, I have a 500 watt power supply in here now, but I got that power supply is 10 years old, and it was because this was a built from a bare bones place. I thought that I wouldn't really need to upgrade for a while. So totally sealed. So it's a new package in that. It's Segotep, which is Chinese. So I can screw myself there. But anything local now, and it was, it was $50. It was relatively cheap, maybe for a power source, but they've sold quite a few of them, if you can trust what Amazon says. And the percentage of negativity was very, it was like out of 700, well, it was 728 sold, if I remember right. There was only 1% negativity. I mean, that's 1%. It's about 8 bad reviews. But I was watching a YouTube setup with, they're called the Toasty Bros, and they were doing a new streamer setup. with inexpensive parts in that, and they actually mentioned this hard drive. So that's what kind of had me go and get it. So it's non-modular, so I that's what I've had. I think modular could have be better as far as um as far as wire management, but I'm familiar with non-modular and the way it's set up, so that's why I went with a non-modular. Your dog refused to go out all day because it's warm. Now he decided to go. Yeah, my sister has a dog. His name's Teddy, and he's a good boy. He's an older boy, and he's having problems. But he's one of those dogs that will look at you like out of the side of his eye, like he's judging you. He's a good, friendly dog. And he's really funny. He thinks that my sister, like when I went over, he thinks that when people come over that mommy's going to be leaving. So he grabs one of her shoes and keeps it with him. Dogs can be funny. So Donnie, we're looking at my new power source. I won't be able to have time to put it in today. I got some things to do. So I may do this tomorrow. But all sealed, so it's brand new. Do I have a... Here. Let's open it up. I'll tell you, I have been from helping my sister paint yesterday and being up on a ladder, and then today working in the garden. I am sore as F. Oh my gosh, I hurt. And then when you left, my it should be ready by Thursday. I'm gonna try tomorrow, if not Thursday morning. But I've gone to this camera, Donnie, because my this hasn't happened in like forever. I should turn it off though. Let it cool down. I'm gonna turn off the phone here. The only thing is, like, some of my actions, like the farts and all that, I don't have set up for here. Because I don't know how well the background remover works when you're this far away from the camera. But it is warm today. It's warm up here. So my studio is on the second floor. Our bedrooms here are upstairs. Noisy. Andy would be disappointed that oh, with the, yeah. So Andy and Kodiaka Lamer or Cubicle Nate. This is a professional. Can you read that? Can you? Professional PSU for gamers. That's what it says. But my 4060 is a it's an 8 gig memory 4060. It's not the TI. And there's my son, of course. Okay, I'll end this in just a second here. But it is getting much warmer up here now. And that's a bad thing when the things start heating up. So. Ooh, they give zip ties. I got a bunch of zip ties. It was always great getting more zip ties. The power cord? I got the power. Oh, isn't this pretty? The instructions are in a little envelope. All right. And it's got what is that, an adapter? Okay. Yeah. And all sealed up, so what if they don't buy it, you're gonna get crap. So my not modularized, the cords are a little more stiffer. They're I think the ones I have in there now, even though it's a older power source, is braided cord. But I should be able to deal with this so pretty good. All right. So power unit all put together and all that. So this is a little bit different. Oh, there we go. Okay, so oh, this is interesting. I think my other one also has opening at the top, but on the side. All right. Now, you know, I have, you can see right here, here's the computer. And for it being right next to me, it is pretty quiet. I am going to replace one of the back fans. At one point, I purchased extra 120 fans just to have them. Yes, it's made in China. You know, them China. Uh-oh. Now I'm getting audio encoder overloading. I think it's too warm up here to stream. Oh, and the frame rate is dropping off with this camera. What the? I don't know why this cam is using a lot more CPU than this camera. What else? What else? Notice the music turned a bit choppy? Yeah, all of a sudden I had an encoder overload. There it goes again. Consider turning down video settings or using faster encoding presets. Oh well. I've not seen those errors before. All right. So here's my new power source. Outstanding. But by the time I get to it, I might as well have just gotten it Thursday, you know? All right. But yes, it was made in China. As our president would say. All right. Now let me take this here. All right, my friends. Whew. It might be good to just get off right now anyway. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. Okay, so I got my new power unit. And it is pretty freaking warm up here. I can see the video kind of breaking up a little bit. All right. And I'm going to see now if my new setups, my rolling credits work. You don't say this quite often, but honestly, you're the nicest streamer you met on Twitch. I appreciate that, Donnie. I really do. Thank you very much. You just don't know me. No, I try to... I'm not going to kiss anybody's ass. and I can be, I'm Southside Chicago, and I can be a bit of a dick at times. But unless and if someone's not nasty to, I have no reason to be nasty to anybody else. And so I try to be good with everybody. But if you come at me, I'm going to come at you. No, that's New York. That's not Southside Chicago. But thank you, Donnie. I appreciate that. All right, let's. So you're gonna lose me when I go to going away, when I go to goodbye. But yeah, that's this encoding overloader is coming up really big, and it actually is on my multiple output streamer. That's dropping. The cons of multi-streaming, All right. Let's go to goodbye and see if my scrolling credits work. I'm looking forward to grab from YouTube too, but we shall see. All right, my friends. So, rolling credits. Thank you to the following. I gotta get StreamerBot. I don't need to show you that StreamerBot's the moderator. Viewers, StreamerBot, JJBB, Donnie. Hey, all right. YouTube viewers showed up. Yes. Although my bot showed up. Penguin Revolution, Craze Attack, Bad Sola. Yes, it works. Okay. So I will try to be on tomorrow. I don't know if I'll get to replace my power source. It is going to be a little bit of a challenge. But you're not seeing me right now because my camera overheated. And I'm having all sorts of other issues starting to show up. So we will see you tomorrow, more likely my time, 6:30 in the evening. So I will catch you later. Bye, guys.